I'm gonna show you guys how to loop like an absolute pro on Dead by Daylight. So I have a few hours on this game. A few. So I'd like to think maybe, possibly, I know a thing or two about looping killers. Let's start with chapter 1. The goal of looping is to waste as much of the killer's time as possible. If you want to properly do this, you have to master something called pathing. This is by far the most important skill when it comes to looping, so if you take anything from this video, let it be this. You can be really good at circling the killer around a singular pallet and call that looping, but if you don't have good pathing, your chases will not be very long. Pathing is just decision making on where to take the killer. A lot of people will just run the killer to the strongest tile nearby, even if it's in the corner of the map, which actually will result in faster downs because the killer does something called zone and bone. After they kick that pallet, you are in a corner and have nowhere to run, giving the killer a free hit. What you want to do is run to the center of the map, even if the loops aren't as safe, as you will have more options at your disposal. Something to note, main buildings are typically very strong and will always have pallets connected to it, so if you ever don't know where to run to main. Shack is another good place to run. It always has a god pallet inside and typically another filler pallet somewhere next to it. Chapter 2, hugging loops tight. Alright people, this is basic mathematics. The tighter you hug loops, the less distance you need to travel, and the more you can circle the loop before the killer eventually forces you to drop it. If you hug loops wide, you need to travel more, and it could be the difference between you making the pallet and dying before you reach the pallet. So make sure you're hugging tight. Chapter 3, smart greeting. You want to greet pallets because it will give you more time on a singular loop before you have to drop it. The more time you waste, the more time your team can spend on gens, resulting in easy escapes. Unless you're my solo queue teammates, then you are rubbing one out in the corner while I'm fighting for my life against the killer. I will see a lot of teammates who never want to drop pallets because they think it makes them a juicer, and they just go down in 10 seconds. The killer will literally be breathing down their neck in chase, and instead of dropping the pallet, they will greed and give the killer a free hit. Don't be that guy. Know the difference between smart greeting and throwing. Chapter 4, connecting loops. Connecting loops is very important in chase. What this does is basically turn two decent loops into one really strong loop. Let's say you have a nice pallet nearby. An average looper would just hug that pallet tight, loop it once or twice, and then throw it. But an S tier looper would loop that pallet and connect it to a nearby window to create even more distance between them and the killer. Chapter 5, fast vaults. Learning how to fast vault and how it works is essential for good looping. You need to be roughly 2.5 meters away from the window for a fast vault to work. Fast vaults let you keep your momentum after vaulting. It also takes 0.5 seconds to fast vault. If you hit the window at a bad angle or don't have enough distance, it ends up being a medium vault, which will cause you to lose your momentum after vaulting and actually takes longer to complete the vaulting animation. This takes 0.9 seconds, so it's easier to get hit while medium vaulting. If you are running a tile with a window and want to hit a fast vault, you have to do what is called taking it wide, as you need that 2.5 meter distance we talked about for the fast vault. This will also set you up for window fakes, resulting in killers to whiff, buying you some extra distance. If you are running to a window and you know you won't make it, the best thing to do is fake it. There's no point vaulting the window just to get hit. If you fake it, there's always a chance the killer will whiff, giving you extra distance as opposed to just vaulting and getting hit anyways. Chapter 6, shift teching. When a survivor vaults a window 3 times in chase, the entity will block the window. This is in place so survivors can't just endlessly run killers forever, but there is something called shift tech that lets you bypass this if done correctly. This is an extremely difficult survivor tech that you will see a lot of the best players doing. To keep a chase in DBD, a few requirements have to be met. Killer needs line of sight, the killer has to be moving, the survivor has to be running. If this isn't met for 8 seconds, chase will drop and windows won't block anymore, allowing you to vault multiple times in chase. This also removes any bloodlust the killer may have had, so you can also shift tech pallets and keep killers from getting any faster while chasing you. This is why you'll see a lot of the best loopers walk during chase. Anytime you are holding shift in chase, it lets the killer gain bloodlust. So remember to tap shift and not hold, and to walk in chase to deny killers any bloodlust. When a killer has bloodlust, he gains speed and makes it so easy to gain hits on you. Bloodlust has 3 tiers. After 15 seconds in chase, the killer will gain bloodlust 1. After 25 seconds, bloodlust 2. 35 seconds, they have bloodlust 3. And with each tier, they gain about 5% haste. Once the killer hits you or breaks a pallet, they lose the bloodlust, or if you're able to pull off the shift tech. There was actually a time in DBD where bloodlust didn't exist and survivors were just able to loop killers forever. So imagine playing during that era. You would just be chasing survivors and never getting hits, so catching them felt hopeless. Chapter 7, Pallet Vacuums. Okay, this is super simple, but I actually see a lot of people, even with thousands of hours, still not doing this. Pallet vacuuming is when you drop a pallet while being far away from the pallet. You get the drop pallet prompt while being away from it when you're slowly walking past it. If you're running while dropping the pallet, it actually just slows you down. Pallet vacuuming is super good for getting stuns because to the killer, it looks like you're about to greed the pallet since you slightly ran past it, but really it's a pallet vacuum. You can also walk past the pallet to make killers think like you're going for a pallet stun, and then just actually greed the pallet for an extra loop or 2. Just be unpredictable in chase. Sometimes vacuum, sometimes greed. Never let them know your next move. Chapter 8, check spots. Okay, now that you know the basics of looping, it's time for the hard stuff. Check spots is actually the most important thing to learn to become a good looper, right there with pathing. I can actually go over all the check spots, but that would probably take like 30 minutes and could be a video all on its own. For the sake of keeping this video short, I will go over the strongest loop in the game and one of the most common tiles, shack. Right, so this is the first check spot, the locker check spot. You have 3 places you want to watch out for the killer. Here, through the window, and from the pallet. Alright, so this is the pre-vault check spot, and you really just want to watch the killer from 2 places. Here, and from the window. What you want to do is you want to start walking around this area towards that corner locker, and once the killer fully enters the shack, that's your cue to vault. After vaulting, we're gonna have to use our window check spot. You want to look through the window right here and in the corner right here. We actually have an extra boarded up window, so we don't need to use the window check spot on this specific shack, but this window won't always be here, so it's still a check spot you need to learn. And then the final check spot, the back wall check spot, we have 3 places we want to look. Here, through the boarded up window, that won't always be there, and then you want to watch out for over here. If you don't have the boarded up window, then it's just the other 2. Chapter 9, looping build. Now that you pretty much know everything about looping, you're gonna need a good build to maximize your chase potential. I'm gonna take you guys over to the lobby with me to go over the best looping perks and what they do. By far, the best looping perk is resilience. This will give you 9% vaulting speed while injured and can be the difference maker between making a vault and extending chase or dying at that same vault. Really good perk. You also do gens faster while injured. Who does gens? Like, come on. We want chase. Life gives you 150% speed for 3 seconds after vaulting a window or pallet to make a ton of distance away from the killer. Finesse lets you vault 20% faster every 30 seconds while healed and is very good for playing drop pallets, especially the unsafer ones. Fixated is amazing as walking in chase is very strong. Windows is a super good perk for new players who don't know pallet or window spawns. It will highlight everything in bright yellow for you. Literally spoon feed you. Dead Hard is a good second chance perk. Basically just lets you tank a hit. You can do this up to 2 times per game. This perk has been nerfed to the ground twice, but is still really good. Iron Will is good in chase as it makes you 100% silent, and a lot of killers like Spirit rely on audio heavily. Troubleshooter is an insanely underrated perk. If you are not good at check spots, run this, as you can see the killer's aura every time you drop a pallet, so it just eliminates the need for check spots at all if you already know where the killer is. Alright, chapter 10, the final chapter. You guys grew up so fast, came in as baby loopers, now you're on the final chapter and probably an S tier looper by now. The final thing you need to know is killers are different. Some of them are meant to be played differently than others. The same way you would loop one killer would not work on a certain other killer. For some killers, the best thing you can do is just hold W. You have to know when to loop towels and when to take a hit and just hold W to stall as long as you can. An example would be killers like Wraith. You can just loop Shack perfectly. But for a killer like Artist, they can set crows up all around the loop. So the best thing to do against this killer would be just hold W after getting hit to try to buy as much time for your team as possible. That's it. That's all I have for you gamers. Hope you enjoyed this guide and learned something new. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, drop a like and let me know in the comments below.